What if you became Genghis Khan's warrior for a day? The night was cold, so cold that even the wind seemed a living creature, angry, hungry, and infinitely ancient. You open your eyes and realize you're not at home. Above you is a black sky strewn with stars. All around you, you hear the neighing of horses, the clanging of metal, and the sound of foreign speech. You rise abruptly and see the endless steppe. Hundreds of fires burn in the darkness. Men in heavy furs walk among them, sharpening sabers, checking their bows. Meat dries on wooden racks. Small yurts stand nearby, and behind them, thousands of horses. And at that moment, someone grabs your shoulder. A tall Mongol with a stern face stands before you. His eyes are cold as ice. Are you awake? Good, we leave in an hour. You don't understand anything. But then you notice you're wearing armor. A heavy leather breastplate, a curved saber, a quiver of arrows, and a short composite bow. You are a warrior in Genghis Khan's army, and you have only one day to survive. The great army of the steppe. Dawn comes quickly. As the sun rises over the steppe, you see the entire army for the first time. This is not just an army. This is a true machine of destruction. Thousands of horsemen line up in perfect ranks. No one shouts. No one argues. The discipline is so strict, it seems inhuman. The Mongols move as a single organism. Everyone knows their place. Everyone is ready to die on command. You notice that almost everyone has several horses. One old warrior notices your glance and smirks. If a horse tires, you die. That's why a Mongol always has a spare. He speaks calmly, as if discussing the weather. In Genghis Khan's army, everything is built on speed. The Mongols can travel vast distances without stopping. They sleep for several hours, eat dried meat, and drink kumis. Sometimes, if there is absolutely no food, they do something terrifying. They cut a horse's vein and drink a little blood to keep from starving. That's why they are feared. They appear as if out of nowhere and disappear just as quickly. Iron laws. Before a campaign, everyone is gathered around a large banner. The silence becomes absolute. You see him for the first time. Genghis Khan slowly rides up on horseback. Even the most stern warriors lower their heads. He doesn't look like a fairy tale giant. On the contrary, he is a calm, cold, almost motionless man. But there is something in his gaze that evokes fear. It seems as if he already knows who will die today. One of the commanders begins to recite the laws. If a warrior abandons a comrade, death. If he steals booty without permission, death. If he disobeys an order, death. The Mongols built their empire not only on cruelty, but also on absolute discipline. This is what made them nearly invincible. The first test. The army begins to move. Thousands of hooves strike the ground simultaneously. The steppe literally trembles. At first, riding seems easy, but after just a couple of hours, your whole body begins to ache. Your arms go numb. Your back burns. But the Mongols seem to feel no fatigue. They can ride like this for days. Suddenly, one of the scouts returns at a gallop. He shouts something to the commander. Tension runs through the ranks. Ahead lies an enemy city, and today you will see why the entire world feared Genghis Khan's army. Before the assault, the Mongols halt on a hill. Below, a city with high walls is visible. Archers stand on the towers. The gates are closed. You think a typical siege is about to begin, but the Mongols act differently. First, they completely surround the city. No one must escape. Then strange machines move forward catapults. You understand, the Mongols are not just savages on horseback. They learn from all the peoples they conquer. Chinese engineers, Persian craftsmen, captured weaponsmiths all work for the empire. Genghis Khan uses the best technology of his time, and that is precisely why his army becomes even more dangerous. The battle begins, the signal sounds, and the sky suddenly darkens. Thousands of arrows fly up simultaneously. It looks like a black cloud. Seconds later, the city is filled with screams. The Mongols shoot incredibly accurately, even at full gallop. Their composite bows are much more powerful than standard European ones. You try to shoot too. Your hands tremble. An arrow flies somewhere past. Nearby, an old warrior laughs. If you miss in battle, you won't live long. And then the city gates open. Enemy cavalry bursts out. It seems they've decided to attack first. But the Mongols were just waiting for this. False retreat. The commanders shout an order. The entire front line abruptly turns and begins to flee. You're shocked. Is Genghis Khan's army really retreating? The enemy cavalry joyfully rushes after them. This is exactly what the Mongols were aiming for. This is their famous tactic of feigned retreat. The enemy thinks they've won. They break formation. They begin the pursuit. And at that moment, everything changes. The Mongols suddenly turn around while still at full gallop. Thousands of arrows fly at their pursuers. Horses fall. Men scream. Chaos ensues. And then the heavy horsemen enter the fray. For the first time, you see a real Mongol attack. It's like a hurricane. In the thick of battle, everything around you turns to madness. Dust obscures the sun. Screams mingle with the clash of metal. Someone nearby falls from a horse with an arrow in their neck. A riderless horse rushes straight through the crowd. You barely manage to dodge a spear. Your heart pounds so hard it feels like it's about to explode. An enemy appears before you. He swings his sword. You instinctively raise your saber. Strike. Metal rings. Your hands go numb. You barely understand anything, acting only on fear. People are dying all around you. And it is at that moment that a terrible realization dawns. For a Mongol warrior, death is a normal part of life. They grew up in the harsh steppe. From childhood, they learned to shoot, ride, and kill. The weak simply couldn't survive here. After victory, the battle ends faster than you expected. The enemy army is routed. The survivors flee. The Mongols don't celebrate victory with loud cries. They calmly gather their weapons, check their horses, and search for wounded comrades. But the worst is yet to come. The city opens its gates. The residents understand the resistance is over. And here you see the other side of Genghis Khan's empire, the one many are afraid to talk about. The Mongols weren't just great conquerors. They were merciless. Cities that resisted were often completely destroyed. This was done deliberately. Fear was their weapon. If the next city learned of the fate of its neighbors, it often surrendered without a fight. The empire grew not only through strength, but also through terror, the secret of Genghis Khan's success. Later in the evening, you sit by the fire with other warriors. A young Mongol asks an old man, Why does our Khan always win? The old man is silent for a long moment, and then he answers, because the others live in the past, and he thinks about the future. You begin to understand the meaning of these words. Genghis Khan changed the very system of war. He created reconnaissance. He used signal flags. He divided the army into distinct units. He devised rapid communication between units. Even the Mongol couriers functioned like an ancient military network. For the 13th century, this was almost unbelievable. Night step. Late at night, the camp gradually quiets down. The wind blows across the steppe again. Horses snort peacefully near the fires. You look into the endless darkness and understand one thing. The Mongols changed the world. Their armies reached from China to Europe. They destroyed states, disrupted trade routes, spread technology and fear. But the price of this empire was enormous. Millions dead, burned cities, destroyed civilizations. The story of Genghis Khan is simultaneously a story of genius and horror. The last order, before dawn, the camp suddenly comes to life. The scouts return. Another campaign lies ahead. Another battle. The commanders form ranks again. You understand that this endless journey never ends. For the warrior Genghis Khan, all life is movement, war, and discipline. No peaceful home, no secure future. Only the steppe, only the horse, only the order. And when the first rays of sun appear over the horizon, the vast army begins to move again. Thousands of horsemen ride off into the distance, and with them you disappear. You open your eyes abruptly. Silence. No steppe, no fires, but the feeling of cold and the clatter of hooves still seems to linger somewhere within. And now you know what a day in the army of the man half the world feared Genghis Khan was like.